Moaning.
Flow, toe-to-toe, boxing pro, shoe shine, mopping glow, and I'm unstoppable. And pop lockable, slow motor obstacle, just like Tahuti with a smoothie in the tropical. I shave the guys play with dry clay, and torn firmament and swarm till it's permanent. The Don's out, I walk palm, the sun hotter, with no shoes on, riding on a unicorn. Behold, brilliant scrolls and gold shillings, roll the old linens, probe the globe rhythm. We top billing, drop the top ceiling as I peel through the Congo, full willing and cold chilling. The black bowl dealing, got about the keeper staff. I've been time and I travel through the deepest fast. On a hovercraft screaming out, I love to laugh and be truthful, and you will be fruitful.
Breathe our heads to this life, 'cause we got.
Share.
Blessed, beautiful, blissful, wishful, a fistful of love for the docile, hostile, apostle. While the audience are ardent according to my gospel. Whip out the rhyme cachet. Stop while a hostile, a rock while Impala rider. You thought about him. The shot caller who motivated and brought it out him. He in the desert on foot 100 miles and running with no water bottle. I gotta try to be a better person. It hurts when reversing verses. But it worse than you see. Meant to you. Shimsu Hebrew. In the earth session of tear. Yes, I do. My eye true. True voice, my eye karoo. So it's justified what I'm about to do. But I heard the iron if I'm not finished. Kim Nin, Pin Kimmer, Sesh in the fur.
Breathe our heads to this life, 'cause we got it all.
Back, Bernie Mac, check fees, attorney scratch, journey with a jersey cap, body back, Burby axe, blade, predecessor, suede, leather weather. I have a fast outline on a gurney flat. Break a dollar bill, take what a scholar will, and make change of it soon as the rain cometh. The grim reaper, wind leaper, yin teacher, pin to the innkeeper, meets with the sin teacher. In terms of letterman, saying that I'm better than any alumni, I came with one eye. Some lie, some try to run by the smart young guy, looking for crumb pie. And a cake slice, blind by the brake lights. Grandma's banana of his pandas in the 8 fight. And with a steak knife, shoestring and fake kite, I'll escape like MacGyver in the late night.
Holding up his signs, giving out free hugs, free fresh food from the garden. Yeah, we got affirmations that will keep you on track. And it's a celebration, oh, night. And we gonna raise our heads to this light, 'cause we got it all.
Dope. Like this. Hey. Hey, how y'all doing this evening? This is AMPspirationTTV, and I am your host, the Plump Queen. Well, this is Wednesday, but this is a special week altogether because every day is going to be all about Flint, yes, the Flint, Michigan crisis. We are taking this on here at AMPspirationTTV. We are going to bring awareness. I went out there for the weekend and I got some great information. I saw some things. It was a humbling experience, and today we're going to have our special guest. I was talking to you about him last night. His name is Rameen Aminzadeh. I'm going to have to keep doing it like that to make sure I say it right. But he's the man that we have been dealing with, the king, you know what I'm saying, that we have been dealing with, who has his own situation called Bridges Over Troubled Water. He has an initiative that is awesome. He is out there, boots on the ground, and he is actually in there doing something about this problem. So we're going to have him on tonight. I don't see him just quite yet, but to give a little background, this song that I was just playing is a song that comes from his group. I'm not sure if it's a group or not, but it's an organization called Beats, Rhymes, and Relief. So they're using music and hip hop, you know what I'm saying, to come about for this change, which I think is super dope. I'm from New York. You know what I'm saying, I grew up on hip hop. It's kind of why I'm dressed the way I am today. You know, this is my little Beats, Rhymes, and Relief look. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling the energy, and I just can't wait to have him on here so he can give you all of the information that you need. Now, if you look at the captions, I have the text message situation that you can, if you want to donate, if you want to be a part of this, you can always text Flint to 41444. That's Flint 41444. Or you can hit the link that goes to their PayPal. So anything, you know what I'm saying, everything you can give, you know what I'm saying, is always going to be a help. You know, this is a serious issue. Like, this is not something that I'm personally just telling you now because something I heard. I was there. You know what I'm saying? I spoke about this yesterday. It's ridiculous what's going on. So I am looking forward to having him on here so he can tell you about what he's got going on. I also would like him, I'm not sure if he's ready for that, but I would like him to tell you a little bit about his story, because his story is very compelling, and it is just a contest to how it doesn't matter where you come from, no matter what it is that you do in your life, your spirituality, your upbringing, all of that stuff, you know what I'm saying, really doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? What truly matters is what you do with your life. You know what I'm saying? How you know what I'm saying, perpetuate your purpose. You know, understanding that regardless of those differences, that, you know, we are people. Like, this is the biggest, you know, the biggest thing that I got out of this, you know, and it's something that I push on this platform. We're all people at the end of the day. No matter what creed, you know what I'm saying, all of that stuff, at the end of the day, we're all humans. We're all Homo sapiens, you know what I'm saying? We all need water. We all need air. We need all of these things to survive. So we need not worry about our differences, and we need to focus on the things that are why we're the same. This is what's going to help us to get to a space where we can work together and stop these things, because this stuff is being done on purpose. And one of the reasons why I'm really, you know what I'm saying, going to push this is because, you know, I'm the type of person, I like solutions, and I also like preventative measures. I actually like preventative measures more than I like solutions, because I feel like if you can if you can make certain choices that can prevent something from happening, I think that's the best route to go, instead of having to deal with something, you know what I'm saying, while you're right in the thick of it. So what I'm thinking about is how this may happen somewhere else. Like, what if this happened right here in Macon, Georgia, where I live? What would I do? What would we do in our community? What can we do to stop this, you know, to prevent this from happening to us? I think everybody should be thinking this way. Because again, if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. And I don't think we, you know what I'm saying, as a whole, as people, you know what I'm saying, no matter what your color is, thinks about that. We kind of go, you know, we kind of live in oblivion. You know, it's truly like the Matrix. We just go about our, you know what I'm saying, our lives, and, you know what I'm saying, work and all these things. And there's just stuff going on outside of your little box, and it's going to affect you. We seem to think that, you know, if we just stay, you know, and just, granted, this is your universe, but there's an omniverse. You know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of universes in this one, you know what I'm saying, in the omniverse, and what goes on in other people's universe just may affect yours. You know what I'm saying? What the government does affect you if you live in this country. You know what I'm saying? What goes on in your neighborhood does affect you. So we need to start thinking about that. All right, so I'm going to see if he is available, because I am looking forward to getting this real information, because like I said, he has been out there, what I'm saying, for a while. He knows these people. He has, been around them. He has talked to them. What I'm saying? He's out there, literally in the trenches every day. What I'm saying, with our sisters and brothers. Let me just say these people, what I'm saying, our sisters and our brothers, because that's exactly what they are. So I'm really looking forward to having him on here so he can give you all the information, truly give you, what I'm saying, the research part of this, and, give you all the information that you need so you can be a part of the situation. Peace to everybody that's coming in. Now, what I also have planned is for the rest of the week, there are two. I had one, but now I have two, what I'm saying, individuals that live in Flint that want to speak out. They want to tell their stories. What I'm saying? It's also one thing to talk to somebody, what I'm saying, who wants to help, who's done research, what I'm saying, who is there helping out. But it's a completely different situation when you actually talk to somebody who is living this on a daily basis. Like, it really makes it makes it real to you, because a lot of us, we don't think, if we're not going through a certain situation, we feel like it's not real because it's not in our reality. For some reason we can't imagine, what I'm saying, feeling a certain type of way or being in a certain situation unless we've been in it. And I personally don't understand that, because I just know personally I need water. I know what I do on a regular basis with water. So I can imagine how I would feel if I couldn't do, certain things, like when when they have to fix the pipes or do something in my apartment complex and they don't let me know about it, and I'm not able to bathe. That's a problem for me. You know what I'm saying? I get a whole attitude like, you need to give me some, some notice about that, because I have a regimen on how, what I'm saying, I handle my hygiene. So that's a bother, what I'm saying, an inconvenience, what I'm saying, not to be able to bathe as much as I want to. So I can't even imagine if I couldn't bathe because the water was contaminated and then nobody was doing anything about it. That would be, I couldn't, what I'm saying, like, I just know that I wouldn't be I would be pissed off. Like, that would be one of the most painful things that I can think of. Like, not being able to eat, knowing that I can develop disease from washing my ass. Like, seriously? That's bugged out. Super bugged out. So, yeah, we have to you need to get out of our boxes and start thinking about these things. So, like I said, preventative measures. That's what I'm truly, seeking. Trying to figure out how we can stop this from happening everywhere. Now, I believe, I'm saying, Rameen is in the building. So let's get him on here, the man of the hour, because he is the one with all the information. So, Rameen, we did this yesterday. So I don't know what you did yesterday, but it doesn't see that I can add you. So maybe you should add yourself, because everyone is waiting to see and hear from you. So I see that you're in, but I do not see where I can add you into the video. Oh, there we go. I see it. Come on in. Y'all give me some 9s so we can help this out. Put out this energy. Y'all know how the internet be. Y'all know how Facebook be tripping. So let me get some 9s so we can get this popping. We need that energy. Adding. Yep, I see your requests, and I'm trying to approve. It's not showing you that you have a video. Yes, let's get them nines, y'all. Let's get them nines. Because I see you right there. Try coming back in and going back out because I still don't see where I your video can come in. There should be this green video situation at the bottom of your picture, and I do not see it. So that lets me know that you're not video capable. And by the way, that song by Hayru, that Hayru song was dope. Appreciate that. Let's see. Ah, there you go. I think we've done it. Let's see. Let's see. I says it's see. Let's see. Come on. You can do it. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Peace, family. How y'all?
Peace. Peace. How are you doing, Rameen?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I'm doing beautiful. How you doing?
I'm awesome. I've been waiting for you. Now, I hear some background. Are you watching this somewhere else?
No, I got my laptop on, just holding it up, but boom, I just made it go to sleep. So is
Do
that
you
helping
have
you?
do you have earphones? Because I hear a lot of feedback. I can hear myself.
Okay, hold up. I got
Mm-hmm.
headphones.
Prepared. I like that. Hello?
Can you hear
I
me?
think that's yes. I can hear you and no echoes. Perfect. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
perfect. Yes, I can.
All right. All
Yes.
right. What's up, Rameen? How you doing, King?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Queen. How about yourself? Everybody good? Everybody good
I'm
on the live?
amazing. I'm
Yeah.
chilling. This is my beats and rhymes and relief outfit right now. You know what I'm
I got
saying?
my Beats Rhymes Relief shirt on, so we
See, there
all
you
repping.
go. I gotta get me one of those. I gotta
I
get me one
got
of
you.
those.
I got
I
you. Got
appreciate that.
you. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Well, we're gonna get right into this.
Okay.
Introduce yourself, and you know what I'm saying. Tell these people who you are and what you about, and let's get this. You know what I'm saying. This relief for Flint.
That's what's up. So, my name is Rameen Aminzadeh. I am Iranian brother from Baltimore. Born and bred in Baltimore. Basically, came to this world of nonprofit work and building with our communities after I was charged with a crime I didn't commit. They tried to give me 226 years, and I fought 5 years trying to basically prove my innocence. And during that process, I realized how many of us was really just can be jaded at any time, no matter what you're doing, good or bad, at any time. Some folks can change the trajectory of your life. And so I was blessed at a young age to learn how to play with cameras and do editing and things of that nature. So by the time I was 17 years old, I was on tour with Dre and Snoop and Eminem and all those guys on the Up and Smoke tour, filming the Up and Smoke documentary. Whoa! And got real into the music scene and was doing music videos, living my best life for what I thought it was. And then in an instant, it was all taken away. And I realized that there needs to be more people out there fighting for folks who, at the end of the day are just jaded, not jaded, but their lives can be taken at any instance. So I had created when I came home. A friend of mine, the Syrian war was just cracking off, and my homeboy, my co-founder Omar Alshare, he basically came to me and said, "Look, bro, like I know you got these relationships with these artists. Can we do a concert? Can we do something? My people are getting, murdered. Like it's genocide in Syria right now, and nobody talking about it." So I said, "Look, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen." We got together, and we basically decided that it couldn't just be about Syria. Like this is happening every day in our own backyard. Folks are being lives are being taken. Their lives are being, compromised by someone else's, I guess quest for riches and fame, or whatever. I don't know, like any reason they can just take it just for power, right?
Power.
Um, and at the end of the day, I was like, all right, well, let's figure out a way to make this work for everybody. So 2013, we jumped off with Beats, Rhymes, and Relief. We started working around Syria. We went to the camps in Jordan. We went to Syria, and then we went to the camps in Jordan. We had these kids paint a mile, 1.3 mile long canvas, one big canvas that they did messages of peace and hope, and we basically wrapped the National Mall in D.C. And exhibited it for 3 days. And we had some UNHCR tents out in the lawn. We had some congressman folks come out, spend the night in a tent, and like talk about the conditions that these kids were forced to be in, and how we are just standing by watching this happen. And at the time, there was a debate on how many refugees could be allowed into the states, and it was before a lot of states were really putting funding and effort into getting those in. So as time progressed, we kept hitting up artists, and we started doing what was called Making Beats Count, and it was basically went to 5 different cities, did a big 3-4 foot, 3-4 story murals in Chicago, DC, LA, Bmore, New York, and then we had local artists get together with some famous artists, and we created a music video. Had the youth, make the tracks and learn how to. God, I talk with my hands, y'all. I'm sorry. I got big old mitts, and they be grabbing this cord, so I
Good.
apologize.
Nah, you good. You good.
So we made that a contest and basically said, we want the people to vote on their favorite song. Chicago won. Y'all can check it out on our YouTube channel or website. It's called Shine, and it was all conscious hip hop. And then at that point, it was about 2014, and the non-indictments of the cop who killed Eric Garner and the cop who killed Michael Brown came out back to back. And at the time, I was living in New York, and the streets erupted. And I was with I'm a original member of a group called Justice League NYC, and we basically started organizing real heavy in the streets and protests. We did a march from New York to DC, 250 miles, 9 days, and created this justice package, actually bringing policy to DC. That we got 2 bills reinstated, 1 refunded, and it was the Stop the Militarization of the Police Act. It was reinstatement of a policy that was against racial profiling, and another one that basically created wraparound services for juvenile detention folks, juveniles getting caught up in the system. And then after that, Flint, was April of 2014. We started hearing about Flint. Some of our members had folks in Michigan and was like, "Yo, this crazy thing is going on with the water. They poisoning the whole entire city. Nobody really knows what's going on yet. Let's go out there and find out what's happening." And so we went on a fact-finding mission, and basically from the moment we touched down, we were in the center of it. Where we took y'all this weekend was Civic Park. Joy Tabernacle off of Chevrolet and Dayton is in the heart of the north side of the city, one of the hardest hit areas of the city. One of the city's most forgotten about, marginalized communities, in the sense that when we talk about Flint, right, Flint was basically created under the Industrial Revolution. So when GM came to Flint 100 years ago, they literally built this town from nothing on the premise of we need workers to work these lines. And it prospered. For many years, it was one of the richest cities in the world. They had built their own airport, all that stuff. At the time, this was, something that New York or Chicago would do, not, some city 100 miles from Detroit, right? And so when let's first talk about, what happened, like why did Flint happen, right?
Yes.
Can y'all hear me all right? I'm hearing a little.
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So basically, in 2012, 2013, was basically when Detroit was about to file for bankruptcy, right? And the whole city, Detroit is basically the hub of the money that used to flow into Michigan. And so when a bunch of these cities, Flint, Pontiac, was basically 13 cities that were all majority black and brown cities, were struggling financially. So the governor at the time, Rick Snyder, says, look, I'm going to reinstate this law called the Manager Law, which basically puts a state representative in place of the mayor, the city council, everybody in that city, and nothing happens unless it goes through them. So from breaking up the EMTs and the fire departments and the unions and canceling contracts and doing all these things to get the city fiscally sovereign. That was the premise they did it under. Oh, the city's failing, they're not making money. Let's throw somebody in there who's going to fix that problem, and no matter what it takes, right? So people were out there fighting for 2 years before the crisis, and they actually got the law repealed, and then in some lame duck session overnight, they brought it back, and they made it stick even harder to where the people couldn't change any seats. So that meant that the mayor had no choice, as far as like he couldn't make any decisions. The city council, what it would normally happen is a law would be brought to city council. They would say, okay, yeah, let's do this, let's not do that, or let's think in terms of budget, right? Detroit had been basically supplying Flint and most of Michigan with water for 75 years. Let's remember that Michigan is surrounded by the Great Lakes. That means that Michigan is one fourth of the world's largest freshwater reserve. So if anything were to ever happen, you want to go buy land in Flint because you're surrounded by water. Let's be real. Water is the new gold, right? You control the water, you control the people, and so I guess folks, in power realize that okay, well, we got a lot of failing cities. What we can do is get our homeboys these pipeline contracts and these big building contracts and get these schools in here and funnel a whole lot of new money in, push the folks that's living here out, and basically, revamp this whole state for what we want to do. It was something that you probably saw on the back of everybody's license plate in Michigan said "Pure Michigan," and folks in Michigan say, it's a tie to white supremacy. It was an idea around how do we make Michigan pure again? How do we get everybody out and funnel, our people and our money in, right? Now, what specifically happened in Flint was there was a new pipeline that was going to be built called the KWA. Now, Flint had already had one of the highest bills in the nation for water, right? So they came in selling these folks a dream saying, hey, look, we're going to build this new pipeline. Flint's going to own it. We're going to control it. We're going to lease this part out to this city for $6 million, blah, blah, blah. It's going to save you a ton of money. Y'all got to get on board. Let's go KWA, right? And some folks were smart about it and like, this don't sound right. I'm not really with that. And it won in the city council. Lost in city council, but they went ahead and they did it anyway, right? And so because the emergency manager, it didn't matter when anybody voted, they were going to say, this is what we do and this is how it's being done. So they moved forward with the project. Now, what happened is on the technical, on the science side, right, when you're getting lake water is much less corrosive than river water. Now, if we think about GM and how big Flint was an industrial city, the Flint River, the water that they wanted to use, they had done a study back in 2011 and said, look, this water is really corrosive. Don't ever use it. If you do use it, you have to use a specific kind of phosphate. This would cost the city about $100 a day to put this chemical in. And what phosphates do is they line the pipe. So you got lead pipes. Everybody throughout the nation built the infrastructure with lead pipes because they're malleable. They can, bend and blah, blah, blah. So when it's in the concrete in the ground, if you drive a heavy truck or whatever over it, if it shakes, if the ground moves, it's not going to break the pipe. It's a solid, sturdy, but malleable piece of equipment, right? But with these phosphates, because they create this protective layer on the inside, that's what keeps you from getting lead and copper poisoning, right? And so with this corrosive water, the emergency manager and some folks over at NDEQ and the Flint Water Treatment Plant basically said, I guess the decision was made, we're not going to spend this $100 a day. And so within weeks, that corrosive water ate the protective lining that had been being built for literally 75 years and destroyed the infrastructure of the city. So now they started seeing brown water and it started smelling funky, and they didn't understand where E. coli and fecal matter and all this other stuff was getting into the drinking water. And what they came to find out, pretty early on, was that the river water, they didn't use the phosphates, the river water corroded the pipe, and now not only was it leaching the metal off the pipe into people's, into the service line. So you got the main line in the city, and then you got all the lead pipes that go to people's, through two different people's houses, and then you got a lead service line that goes from those pipes into people's homes. And so because they didn't use the phosphates, it ate away at all those infrastructure pieces. And so lead, they had some overspills or some problems at the sewage plant. All kind of things started getting in the water, and they're like, okay, well, what do we do here to save the water? People are getting sick clearly, and we think it's from the water switch, but we don't really know. They clearly did know, but they were trying to cover it. And so they said, okay, start boiling your water. Everybody boil your water. We're going to add a ton of chlorine. We're going to kill all this stuff. We're going to figure it out. Still not using the phosphates. So at this point, a young lady named Leanne Walters, who is basically the founder of Bridge Over Troubled Water. We'll get to that in a second. But her house was ground zero. Her house had 2.5 times the levels of hazardous waste going into her house, levels of lead. And so basically, if you think about it, one sip of one glass would destroy a grown adult. It basically give you the worst lead poisoning you ever had in your life. She had two 4-year-old twins at the time, right? And so what started happening is they started breaking out in all these rashes. Everybody around the city was breaking out in rashes. They was losing their hair. They were having memory loss, hearing loss. You can see some of the welts and stuff that, I'm sure y'all have seen the pictures. It was really devastating to people. And they didn't know, what was going on. Her twins, one of them stopped growing. So now they're 8 years old, and you can literally see that, one is looks like a healthy 8-year-old kid. The other one still looks like he's about 4, maybe 5 years old. It's like a 30, 40-pound difference, and a difference in height and their speech and their, motor skills, and all of these things were destroyed, right? And so she was like, "Look, I'm not taking this. I'm gonna go fight." And she went and started building with some folks at the EPA. It's a young man named Miguel del Toro, right? And he basically was the Region 5, like, head of the science, head of everything from the EPA that was trying to figure out what's going on. And they kept saying, oh, it must be Leanne's pipes in her house. That's why they're getting this lead. We don't know why. It's probably some janky stuff at her house. And she brought Miguel in. He basically said, well, look, she's been telling y'all for months that all her pipes are PVC. They're all plastic. When they bought the house, part of what you see in Detroit and Flint is that all the homes are burnt out and stripped of
Yeah.
everything, right? So
Yes.
when you have extreme cases of poverty, people find a way to survive. So a lot of people were, doing the scrapping and stuff, going in, taking all the copper pipes, taking the wire, taking whatever. When they bought her house, it was already stripped. So they replaced everything with plastic piping. So there was no way that the city could say anything was coming from her stuff. It was coming from the city's line. So they brought, Miguel introduced her to a young man named Mark Edwards, who is a scientist from Virginia Tech. And this young man had been in DC 10 years earlier, and had basically, figured out that DC was being lied to and lead poisoning almost 10 times worse than what Flint has had to deal with. And it was all up in the DC public schools, and people were getting really sick. And as he exposed that, he basically lost all of his friends in the science community. He was ousted. He was, an outcast. Everybody hated him. It was rough, so rough that, he considered killing himself a few times and went into a very severe depression. but knew that the next this was going to happen again, and that it was going to be another time when somebody called on him, and he was going to have to be ready, and he knew that was going to take money. So he saved up about $500,000, and when he got that call from Miguel, he brought his own team in, paid for it, about $280,000, to do the testing, to prove that the city was lying, to prove that everybody was lead poisoning, to prove that it was because they didn't use these phosphates. And the reason they found out they didn't use the phosphates is because Leanne, talking to Miguel, figured out some science. She self-taught herself and went to the water treatment plant and basically said, hey, give me the monthly report of what y'all put in the water for the last few months. And when she was reading the list back to Miguel, they both realized, like, wait a minute, you didn't say anything about orthophosphates, where they're not using them. Oh my God. And so he blew the whistle from the EPA, and that's why we had the congressional hearings and all of those things. So long story short, 18 months go by before they make that switch back to Detroit Water. But even though they made the switch back, the infrastructure was already ruined. So to this day, if I drive down the street in a semi filled with water trying to deliver it to somebody so they got some safe water, we could be rattling those pipes underneath the ground and shake loose a big old chunk of lead that goes into everybody's house on the block that can literally kill them. When we talk about lead poisoning, let's understand a few things. Lead poisoning is one of the most toxic, terrible, devastating things that can happen to a young person. So, children, infants, up to like 10, 12 years old, and then elderly people. It affects those people the most.
I have a cousin that suffered from lead poisoning as a child. I lived in the projects, and he used
Right,
to eat the paint. And
right,
yes,
right. And we had to deal with that in Baltimore too. Like it's a really rough thing. And so, uh, you know, it stays in your, so when you first get exposed to lead, number one, it goes through your fatty tissues. So all the fat, all the soft muscles, all of those things, it goes from that to your bones, and it stays in your bones for your lifetime. And it is also transferred to the next 6 generations of your kids. So the twins that got poisoned, Leanne's twins, their great grandkids are going to have lead poisoning and suffer debilitating side effects from that: motor skills, speech impediment, memory loss, aggravated behavior. So while we were there, I met Leanne, I met the pastor, I met Nair Sharif, who was an activist who was out there fighting against the emergency manager law before the switch ever happened. And we were meant to do a couple PSAs just to get the facts out there, and it ended up turning into a documentary. And what we did with Justice League is, after the fact finding mission, we came back to Harlem. We hosted a party with a bunch of young black millennials. It was Busta Rhymes and Fabulous, and a whole bunch of other people came out and supported. And we started this Amazon registry, brought over $2 million worth of resources directly to the church, so people could get online, order baby wipes and formula and all the things that you could possibly need, water, coat, whatever folks needed. When we went out there and asked, we had that done, and that kept coming in for 2 years. And so at that point, I had been going back basically every couple months for weeks at a time, months at a time, and every time we were trying to figure out what is the next piece? How can we help? How can we create the awareness? How can we get y'all support? And at the time, there was a bunch of water bottles coming in. Everybody was donating. Big Sean donated, Eminem, Diddy, Mark Wahlberg, all these people donated bottled water because that was the norm. That's what has always been for hurricane or whatever. Just get bottled water. People need water. You have to have at least a half a gallon a day to be hydrated. Anybody, any one person. So after 5 years of these water bottles, one, let's think about the environmental impact, right? For let's just say one person, right? One person needs to drink a half a gallon a day. They were only getting 2 cases. 2 cases is less than 3 gallons. You got 7 days in the week, that's 3.5 gallons. You're already short. But now let's talk about washing things or cleaning things. It takes 183 bottles to fill a tub, right? So at no point were these rations ever going to be enough for any one person, much less any family. And so folks had to make some really, really rough decisions to say, look, am I going to feed, are we going to consume this water tonight? Are we going to clean ourselves with this water? Are we going to just use it to brush our teeth and keep boiling the water? And I don't know if I touched on it, but when you boil water with the lead in it, it intensifies the lead, it concentrates it, so it made it that much stronger. So out of that 18 months that they were lying to people, telling them to boil the water for like 12 or 13 months or however long that period was, not only were they poisoning them, they were like exponentially, unnecessarily poisoning people, right? And because they were adding all this chlorine and they had the sewage problems and it was connecting with the water, when you add chlorine to fecal matter, it creates what's called PFAM or TTHMs, which is a cancer-causing carcinogen. So the whole city, 100,000 people approximately, you know, basically got lead poisoning, got cancer-causing carcinogens flushed through their body, egregious amounts of chlorine and every other chemical you can think of that only tears your body up for almost 2 years, 18 months. So, you know, their bodies were rocked. And while these people were out here protesting and going to DC and trying to do these congressional hearings and all of these things, you know, they were basically still sick and going to the hospital every week, and you know it was rough. It was really rough. And so after 5 years of listening to folks, of being on the ground, delivering water supplies, and really trying to figure out what a solution looks like, we came up with what you guys got to be a part of this past weekend, and what y'all have been supporting, the Bridge Over Troubled Water campaign. And it's meant to lift some of these burdens. So if you think about, you know, the time, energy, gas money, if you're waiting in line, you know, 6 to 8 hours a day to get 2 cases, but you can't carry that because you sick and weak and live across town. You got to find somebody with a car and the gas money to get there and the time off of work to be able to get it. And then get it back to the house, and it's not even enough for you. It's much less your family, right? So there's a whole lot of issues there. And then there's a bunch of studies that basically say, you know, when you impact somebody, when you give them some kind of relief, if you do it for a short period of time, it can be almost more detrimental than doing it at all, because you give them a little taste of like, here's some help, and then all of a sudden you take it away,
Hey,
and that,
yeah.
that affects them, right? So what we said is, okay, let's figure out what all the issues are. Let's talk about it, brainstorm, come up with a plan, and we figured that delivering enough water for an entire family, I don't care if you've got one person in the house or 5 people in the house, we're gonna give you enough that's gonna cover all of that. People's dogs were dying, their pets, their friends, you know, everything died. Everything, water is life, right? There is no doubt about that. And so, you know, basically at the end of the day, it was like, uh, how can we create something that is more than just giving folks water? It was bigger than that. It had to be. I mean, you saw the plight of the city. Folks are broke. Folks are poor. Folks are, you know, there's not many opportunities. So we said, okay, well, if there's 40,000 households in Flint, and we were going to deliver, you know, 40 gallons of water to each of them, even at 10 a week, that's 400 gallons of water. That's a lot of people to move that water, to, you know, stock it, to deliver it every week, to go back and get the empties every month and refill it. Ends up being almost 4,000 jobs, right? 4,000 jobs at $15 an hour. So that's another, like, you know, 10 million that comes into the city, which is a huge economic empowerment piece, to, you know, huge shot to the city for more money to come in. But for poor folks, folks that usually get at the bottom of the list, you know, we said, okay, well, you know, the big issue now is that some folks can go, they can afford to get in line and get the water. They got the time, or they can afford to buy it themselves. But folks that are poor, folks that are homebound, disabled, elderly, undocumented, refugees that don't speak English, you know, these folks are always left at the bottom of the list. We need to flip that and put that on top. Let's take care of our
Right.
people that are never even considered. And so
Mm.
then after all this money and all these things, you know, money started pouring into the city, but folks didn't really see it on the ground. To this day, any one of them will tell you that, you know, outside of cases of water, they don't know where that money went, and it couldn't have all gone there, right? And so we felt like, all right, well, you know, let's get the water taken care of, get people water security, let's create these jobs, and let's make sure that as we're creating these jobs, we're also building something long term. This distribution company, Flint, is also a food desert, right? So outside delivering water, we could be delivering fresh food, fresh produce. We could, be training people on getting their forklift operator or CDLs or business management, computer skills, video, marketing, all of these things, so that folks that get into our program and that work for us not only get one of the highest paychecks in the city, if starting at $15 an hour, they also can pretty much choose their own destiny on where they want to go with their career. And we're focusing on young people that, young marginalized black and brown people that were considered throwaways, folks that, had a prison record or been caught up in some stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, they were never going to be worth anything more than another bunk in the prison that they can collect 100 grand a year off of. So we said, nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to give these folks, the folks closest to the problem are closest to the solution. So let's make sure that these youth are at the table with their voice and their ideas on how we get this done. Months of planning and research basically went into all this, and the program y'all witnessed is what we came up with. And basically, we just started. We've been going for, this was the fourth weekend. We've done 11 families a weekend. We have enough to cover, enough money to cover those families for the year. We refuse to start any family on the program that won't get it for the entire year. So all of that money is set aside to make sure that we're paying for each month's delivery of water, plus, the people that actually deliver it, the refills, all of those things. We're making sure that that's covered. And we're doing it on a very slow, steady pace. It's not that slow, but we're doing it in such a way that we can figure out what wrench may get thrown in the game, or what iron, what kink we got to iron out, or whatever the case may be, so that when we get to this point where, we've got to deliver to 40,000 people, we've already been through those issues and figured some things out. So that's basically where we were. Oh, one thing I heard you talk about yesterday was the situation with the mayor, right? When we was at the farmers market and blah blah blah. And I want to be clear on why I'm not necessarily a fan or want to be in any part of their propaganda to help lift them up. And the reason being is because basically folks already had the highest bill in the nation, right? And then you poisoned them all. And then you said, okay, well, if you don't pay your bill, I'm going to put a lien on your house. Oh, and by the way, when your water gets cut off, now you're putting your children in violation. So if you don't pay us, we're going to come get your kids. Oh, and on top of that, if you have a late bill or your water is cut off, you're not even considered for the pipe replacement list. And understand that Flint cannot be fixed until all the pipes are replaced, right? Every service line, every abandoned home, every lead pipe that wiggles through that city has to be pulled up and replaced in order for folks to actually be 100% safe. And let's think about, after 5 years of this crisis, folks got major PTSD. I mean, some of the folks y'all met had at 14 years old, that young girl had a liver of a 75-year-old. She couldn't come outside that day because she can barely move. And she's 17 now or 18 now. The young lady with Legionnaires, like, that Carrie, her family got in a car accident right before the crisis happened. And when you go to the hospital, you're doing any kind of fixing of your body, they tell you drink all the water you can drink. And so they kept, feeding their kids water. So imagine the guilt. Imagine if you gave your daughter not force fed them, but made them drink water every day over and over again, not realizing that you're handing them glasses of poison over and over, how much that affects your spirit, your soul. And it's wild. So like, all of these folks just they got really big hearts. They got really, they got shitted on. And at the end of the day, we fell in love with their resilience and with their spirit. And it's something that I'm invested in, making sure that I'm involved in that solution until we get to a real solution. That water bottles was a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It's nothing that can be sustainable. And what we're doing is trying to create a blueprint that Now, currently, there are 21 other states that have worse water problems than Flint right now, but nobody talks about it because there's no media about it, right? And they're doing the same thing. You're getting little installments of water bottles, Ranger, Texas, St. Paul, or St. Joe, the Bronx, Baltimore, Newark, New Jersey, Allentown, Pennsylvania, like places that many of us have been to a million times would never think that they water was like that, because it's a a calculated calculated move to say we're not going to talk about that, because what does it do? It ruins the values of the house. These folks in Flint can't move anywhere if they wanted to. Their properties ain't worth nothing. um, and you see how it's just a big part of a bigger picture, whether it was meant to be or not. Whether it was strategic or not, it is. It is gentrification. It is genocide. It is all of those things. And lead didn't discriminate. It had ever hit everybody: black, white, brown, Asian, Arab, whatever. Like anybody living in that city got hit. And because Flint is a poor majority black and brown city, or poor white folks, it's the rest of the state, Lansing, the government, they didn't care. And they proved that in their emails, where they basically said, oh, those folks are dumb. Who wants to help Flint anyway? They deserved it. They get what they got. Wop, 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 let's move on. They literally treated these people as expendable. And it started all for, under the guise of fiscal sovereignty and trying to get the city back on track. But when you look into what that emergency manager law did, and the 12 other cities that they affected, they basically disbanded a city. Pontiac doesn't even exist anymore. They got rid of mayors and city councils across the board. They sold huge chunks of land. They privatized the trash companies, or trash service. They privatized the EMTs. They privatized, the fire departments. It basically privatization and commodification of all of those services got given out, parsed out to folks in the government's friends and they homies, that they could make more money, more of that 1% getting 99% of what we got. But that's basically and I may have messed some things up. I'm pretty sure that I'm, about 99% accurate, but at the end of the day, we're all subject to, missing a line or something like that. But at the end of the day, that's the basis of what happened in Flint from before the crisis ever happened to where we are now, and why we're doing what we're doing.
I'm tight. I don't know if you can see it in my face, but
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
stuff like this bothers me, and it's just crazy that stuff like this is legal. And like I had no idea now I know the Bronx always get a bad rep about being a bad place, but I had no idea that their water, you know what I'm saying, was bad.
Yeah.
Like why is anybody talking about this? Why aren't the people that are dealing I don't understand.
It's we've I don't know the reason why, right? Like why the media has decided to follow this fucking clown around, Agent Orange, and pick up everything he says and make that what news is, because this clown stole an election. But because he has been able to grab everybody's attention span, and because he knows how to play the game and give you some off the wall crazy shit, he keeps the focus on him. So all of these problems, just think back to 2014, right? 2014, you had Mike Brown, you had Laquan McDaniel, you had Eric Garner, you had all these people that were getting killed, and we were hearing about that on the news. We were
Back. Come on back. Let's know how this works, technical difficulties and all that. I'm sure he's going to be back. But I'm listening to this just like y'all.
Know about how y'all feel about this, but this is superly bugged out. Okay, his phone died. It's okay. No doubt. Do your thing. We got to do something, man. If you when he comes back on here, I want him to rename the places that he has said before. We need this needs to be talked about, and I say this all the time to our people all the time. We focus on the wrong shit. We absolutely, and this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You have people going through crazy stuff, and we be on the internet arguing about stuff that means absolutely, positively nothing. This is crazy. Like, I don't even want to hear about nothing. I don't even really watch the news, you know what I'm saying? Because I personally, I don't. I know there's a lot of things going on, and I just want to put myself in the position to be able to help, you know what I'm saying, with the change. You know, I don't want to be depressed. Like, I feel like it's very depressing. But something has to be done. I'm going to need, if you live in any of these places, or if you know people that live in any of these places, please tell them to talk about this. This is what we need to be talking about. I can tell you all the time, like, you know,
You know,
ah, there you go. Ooh,
there you go.
okay.
Okay.
Now I can hear
Now
myself in
I
the
can hear
background,
myself in the background,
and I can't hear
and I
you.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
All
So
right.
I think the phone got too hot. So I'm gonna try and put it in front of this fan and see if I
Okay.
can keep it moving.
You know, you're giving us this fire, like, you know what I'm saying? This is a hot topic,
Right.
man. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. Like, I want you to name the other places that you said again, because I was telling everybody, if you know anybody that lives in any of these places, or you yourself live in these places, please talk about this. Hit me up in my inbox. I'll interview you. This needs to be talked
Right. It's Ranger, Texas.
about. Ranger, Texas,
It is St. Joe. I think St. Joe is either Missouri or Minnesota.
St. Joe's in Missouri
The
or Minnesota.
Yep. The Bronx,
Bronx, New
Newark,
York.
Brooklyn, Baltimore,
Brooklyn?
parts
Even
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn?
yeah, parts of L.A. County, Oklahoma, West Virginia. I'm not exactly sure of each individual city, but it's 21 states, and you can Google it. You can literally Google which states got more water, worse water than Flint, and it'll come up as 21 different states, and it'll list all the different cities as well. And it's something that, again, it's this media piece. It's why is it that the problems that American citizens are forced to deal with on a daily basis, stuff that's killing them, stuff that is man-made. These are man-made problems that, what Trump tweets about is more important. Like, it doesn't make sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense is, when, folks just, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe now, Notre Dame burnt down, right? And within 24 hours, over $1 billion was raised.
$1 billion.
A billion. Do you know that 2% of that $1 billion would run this program for the next 10 years, and then some, probably in 2 different cities for the next 10 years? Like, it's crazy what people are willing to put their money towards, right? And which issues they pick and choose that they want to support. And the reality is, like, with this program, I'm not doing this as like a pitch to sell what we're trying to do, but the reality is that if 2% of us donated $3, a one-time donation of $3, the problem would be solved overnight. We'd fund this for 1 year. I mean, I'm up every night filing for 2, 3, 4 grants that I can find, just trying to get pennies from anybody that I can get it, because I realize that You know, it's all about the math. This is science. This is actual fact. You can't change this. We can do the knowledge to this every day and do the math and say, okay, 2% of the population in the U.S. donates $3. Flint has water security for the year, 4,000 new jobs, blah, 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 blah. Like, it creates such a large impact. It's probably too big of an impact for anybody to let us really get any nationwide time. Like, that's what it comes down to is, you know, how can we get a nationwide audience? If Oprah or Ellen or somebody like that were to bring any one of us on that can speak about this and pitch this project, I guarantee, you know, a large portion of the U.S. would say, oh, I can text $3 to 414 or Flint to 41414 and 41444 and donate that $3 and we good tomorrow. Like, y'all can get it in place tomorrow. Yes, infrastructure is set up. Like, you know, we are ready to go. We are going. Y'all saw that. You know, it's something that folks, you know, it's about that platform. It's what people use their platform for. We got, you know, and I just got to say this because it's one of the realest things that I have witnessed in the last 10 years of organizing. Like, we put a post out that first week, right? The first week of May, we put a post out that we were doing this project. And Jamar got online, saw a post that I think my son had posted about, and within a couple hours hit me up and was like, yo, I want to hear more, what, you know, wop, wop, wop. And literally activated all of y'all, donated $5,000, and then used his own platform to go and reach out to artist friends of his that we're gonna make a real big announcement tomorrow. So stay tuned. But you know, reached out to his own, you know, his own relationships that he's building for his platform, and talked to the brother and got him to do the same thing. Like, when we talk about being active, when we talk about how we use our platforms and what kind of things we're doing, exactly what you're doing right now. Like, this is where it matters. When you share that, you know, it means so much more to share the post than to donate the $3. Just because out of the 100 people that might see it, if 3 of them donate $3 outside of yours, it makes it that much easier. You know what I mean? Like, we get to the goal faster. But folks, you know, I was listening to a couple different things today, and folks, you know, jump on the hottest thing. What's the next thing? Oh, what's the next? You know, it's like the struggle Olympics. Like, oh, if you're not with the hot topic right now, then, you know, you ain't really on your game. You ain't really woke. You ain't really about it, right? And that's crazy. It doesn't make sense. There's things that we can do now, right now, and make a real change. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to Lighthouse and a big shout out to you. Shout out to you, Queen, and what you're doing. And I appreciate Lighthouse, Inspiration TV, Plump Queen. Y'all, I love y'all, man. I really do. I really appreciate you. I can't wait till the next time we together and build. Like, it was one of the most beautiful, natural, organic, grassroots, real things that I've ever been a part of, and I appreciate y'all for that.
Well, I appreciate you back. I have to appreciate the Lighthouse as well, because that is the reason why I was able to be a part of the situation. I'm growing my brand, so I want to do as much as I can, and I'm just glad that I have the opportunity. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this situation and using my platform. I feel like I'm actually doing something, because I wish I could just donate. You know what I'm saying? Just stacks, and you know, because I would absolutely do that. But it does make me feel good that I can do something, that I can bring awareness, and I might find somebody with these stacks. You know what I'm saying? To come and help, and that's what I'm gonna do. And anything that I can do, I will. I promise that.
It's the beginning of a beautiful relationship. We're gonna be bigging up Inspiration as much as we can, as often as we can. I see you, I see what you're doing, and I'm proud to know you and call you family. And thank you, Flint. Thank you. I thank you.
Dylan is very
True and living queen.
I appreciate you doing that, because this is what I want to promote. People that are actually doing something instead of talking about it. And that's what we need in this world. So I appreciate you so much. Now, is there anything else that you want to tell us? Give us all the information, website, GoFundMe, all of that.
Okay. So the biggest thing is the you can either go to the GoFundMe, which is GoFundMe/Bridge Over Troubled Water, all one word. You can anywhere on our Facebook, on our Instagram, follow us at Rhymes for Relief, the number 4, at Rhymes, number 4 Relief. We got all the links to how you can read about the program, how to give people the questionnaire if you're in touch with people in Flint so they can get on the list, how you can donate. You can text Flint, all capital Flint, to 41444. You can reach out to me on my Facebook. You can inbox me. I'm literally, we got a strong team on the ground in Flint doing a lot of work. But as far as like all the organizing and those pieces of it, I'm up, 24/7, pretty much making this thing happen. So any ideas, folks want to come volunteer, whatever the case may be, I'm open to you. Hit me up. I appreciate everybody just talking about it and sharing, and that's the biggest thing. Like, we don't have a platform with the media, right? Like that is not happening at this point. We pushing our artist friends to help create that platform, but in the meantime, the shares, the comments, the call to actions, asking people to donate is $3. You know what I mean? It's you could save a life today, really. $3.
We'll be dope.
And I love that says dope. You could be
$3.
dope. $3. My G. I love it. But that's what it is, and we'll make sure we comment on the post and give all those links and those things out that y'all can share. I put together a great, cool little photo album of the weekend, so folks can share that too. And I think there's a donate button right on there. So on Facebook, that I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I love what you're doing, Queen. I can't wait for the future and things that we do together. And I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, that I appreciate you, though.
Absolutely. I appreciate you as well. Like he said, hit a ball. I'm gonna have all of that stuff in the captions once I go off live. But $3, man. That's it. $3. Free manifestation. Let's manifest it. All right. Well, I love you, Rameen. Thank you.
Yes.
Dua.
Yes.
And you enjoy the rest of your evening and continue to keep it.
Yes. Peace. Love y'all.
All right. So y'all heard it. $3. $3 will make a change in somebody else's life.
Okay, so text all caps Flint to 41444. That's 41444. I have the link to the GoFundMe inside of the captions. And if you're a part of the Lighthouse or affiliated with us, you can always donate through there as well. We have to be the change that we want to see, guys. We have to do something. It is clear that no one is going to help us. The help that we need is at the end of our arms. It doesn't make any sense. We are all humans, and we all have to stick together. So please, it's $3. 3. Donate them $3. All right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all time and energy. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you wanting to be a part of this situation. We're going to continue talking about this and bringing awareness on Friday. Not sure which one, but I have 2, Flint natives that one is part of the Lighthouse. No, actually, they're both Lighthouse members. And we're going to be interviewing them because, Rameen is amazing. He's boots on the ground, super dope. But we're going to also have people that are living this, who have to deal with this. Like, maybe that'll bring that home for you. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking to somebody, or you get to hear what this feels like and what that lifestyle is. So make sure you tune in on Friday, and for the rest of the week I might have some special things this weekend. This is all about Flint. This is definitely something that AMPspirationTTV will continue to push until the solution is here. And I'm going to be trying to figure out ways, preventative measures like I was talking about earlier. I'm big on preventing things. I want to know now what I could do, just in case if something like this was to ever happen where I live, or where people that I love live. We all need to start thinking about this, okay? Think about how you spend your money. Yes, I'm talking about that. You never know what's going to happen. We got to, I have to think about that, my spending habits and, little things that I don't need. that I need to be setting aside just in case something needs to be done. All right, keep that in mind. Love, love, love y'all. Enjoy the rest of y'all evening. And yeah, that's it. Be inspired, y'all. Peace.